What actually is evidence? If you've spent your life learning about evidence from television crime dramas, like most people, you probably don't have a very good idea about what evidence actually is, even though your favorite entertainment floods you with the word continually. Something about that just isn't right. One of my favorite movie lines is,
"You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means."
so let's start with the word. Evidence should make something evident. A pile of scat tells us little more that an animal has been there. Fingerprints tell us a person was there. Blood and tissue tell us that someone was injured there. The presence of a weapon tells us little on its own. The presence of stolen property tells us little. Even footprints and imprints on the ground mean very little on their own. The pictures and questions answered at a crime scene are information, nothing more. The samples and specimens collected are nothing more than just that, samples and specimens. It's not even clear whether they will present useful information, much less evidence. The chain of custody is important for evidence. This reliably connects any information produced to the place it was collected based on the integrity of those who gathered the information. However, it's not based on integrity alone. Good crime scene analysis involves having witnesses to the collection of information and samples who can later corroborate those activities. The witnesses here may not be people, they may actually be cameras and recorders. It's not just limited to people. Evidence itself is an emergent property that arises from the analysis of the information and samples and specimens. That analysis is based on an understanding of how things work that itself is based on knowledge derived from the application of science. So there is also a chain of reason which connects the information derived from samples collected at the crime scene to make facts that are relevant to solving the crime evident. The reports and analysis are the evidence. Our court system, while oriented around the establishment of informed opinion for the interpretation of law, leans heavily on science and the practice of science to inform those opinions. Fingerprints only become evidence because a great deal of scientific work has proven they are unique to each person. That knowledge allows us to identify individuals who were in the place where the crime took place with a high degree of certainty, but not so much when they were there. Blood and tissue samples only become evidence because of a great deal of scientific work that has been done to prove that various procedures can extract unique and identifying information from them. We can identify toxins like drugs and poisons in this way. We can identify individuals using simple DNA processes like fingerprinting, which uses markers from the individual's progenitors that are unique to them and perhaps their twin. There is also expertise involved in these analyses. Both sides in a legal case will bring in experts to speak to the strengths and weaknesses of both the methods used and those who employed those methods to produce the evidence. The chain of knowledge is objectively true and does not depend on belief or opinion. However, the analysis of information to produce evidence can be tainted by individuals along the way. Once again, reputation is a vital component. In this case, it is derived from analysis of the record of successes of the person doing the analysis of samples and specimens. And so, with subjects like Bigfoot, we often hear about how there are no experts. This is employed in two ways. The first is simple and honest and genuine. There truly are no people with demonstrable expertise and experience of these creatures. The second, however, is deceptive and manipulative, and is used quite commonly by people to both kick others down and to raise themselves. because their statement carries the implication that while they are no experts, this person knows something special, and you should consider what they say to be derived from special knowledge. It both places them in a position of authority and sets aside the opinions of others. You hear them say things like, "I know what I know," and "Trust me, I know what I'm talking about," when in fact they're sharing nothing more than their own opinion and setting aside whatever anyone else knows in favor of their own self-adopted authority. In science, there are no authorities. There are, at best, experts. Their expertise is gained by both education and experience, and is demonstrated in their work more accurately than where they gained that education and experience. Elements of our society have been conditioned to be suspicious of authority and expertise, told time and again that people with these things are others and that they must be dismissed without thought. In this way, part of our society has been increasingly sifted into bins of easily manipulated people who can be used without even their awareness to perform certain social tasks. This manipulation is finally starting to break down, as some people are so deeply divided that they're now even beginning to distrust those who've been manipulating them for decades, even while others cling to their dopamine hits. I know people who are so fractured in this way that they can only trust what people they like tell them in social media. This is an incredibly hard place to come back from, because one must first begin to learn how to trust oneself again, to gain the confidence to set aside what they want to believe in favor of what actually is evident with proper rational analysis. So realize now that the claims derived from personal beliefs or even hopes about something that somebody found in the forest is important are totally unimportant to the rest of the world who want to deal with information derived from rational thinking and critical analysis instead of fabrications and fantasies. My personal conviction that a creature more than likely actually exists that I will call Sasquatch, a real physical animal like you and I, that has hands and feet like ours, that has a unique position on the phylogenetic tree, is of no real value. It merely informs my decisions in the processing and filtering of data that crosses my path and triggers my interest. That conviction is based on very sparse facts that do actually defy more mundane explanation, but don't yet add up to compelling evidence. What is evident in all of this is why, with the way information is being gathered and presented, there has been no real progress to understanding if they even exist as creatures in the woods. Without profound changes, it remains unlikely this situation will change by the mere brute force of improving technology, and the mystery will continue for decades to come, as it's more interesting than actual evidence.